Okay, let's go and see whether my channel, where is my channel coming up from? Alright, g'day folks, welcome to another edition of Farming Simulator 17. I'm going to be working on Cherry Hills Farms. And we're just having a slight delay issue there with that. Where's my thing gone? Okay, there we go. Right, so slight delay coming through, but we should be ready to rock and roll. Okay, so let's kick off with our career, and we are going to go to our Cherry Hills farm map, and we'll duck and dive in there. We will have a brief look at all the mods that we have in. I'm a huge mod fan. I never was to begin with. I always wanted to keep the game sort of restricted, but since I found into the world of mods, there is absolutely a ton of stuff out there available for Farming Simulator 15 and 17, which is where I started in. So we've got the Giant Software mods on the top two. A lot of these are available from the Giant Software webpage. The Khan pack, or the Coon pack, which is brilliant. There's a lot of awesome toys in there. This is the map that I'm currently working on, which is the Cherry Hills 2017 by Stevie. It's an awesome map. The Ford TW pack, that's a awesome pack. That's a full range of the Ford TW series of tractors. I think there's some a baby one in there, the Ford TW5, TW10 two-wheel drive tractor. That's an awesome mod. But if you haven't got those, I'd recommend you go and have a search for farming sim mods in Google and just have a look around. There is a ton of stuff. One of my favourite ones from Black Sheep Modding is the Massey Ferguson Old Generation pack that has some really nice stuff in there. Some Massey 3000 series tractors, which look absolutely amazing. There's all kinds of old Massey Ferguson machinery there from 1970 to 1990. That's really cool stuff. If you're a Massey Ferguson fan, then I seriously recommend you go and download that mod. You will not be disappointed. Some of the other little bits and pieces I have in here is the Sycamore multi-grind. This is a little flail mower, which is great for doing little pass-bys and odd bits of mowing. It does leave the grass like other mowers, but it's a great little addition if you just want to mow around the fields and just to tidy up little patches of grass around the place. That's a really cool little mod. I've yet to play with this one. This is the Amazon Pantera, the 4502, which is a big sprayer. It's an alternative to the New Holland sprayer. Just some different variants. I like the way that the arms come off the back, not over the front, like the New Holland one does. I'm going to have a bit of a play around with that on a later session, but I think it's well worth a look. If you do a lot of spraying on your farm, then oh, excuse me, then that is certainly something to consider. I have a little rotary cutter. It's very similar to the Sycamore, except rather than being a flail mower, it is a bladed mower. We have the Branther refill pack trailer, which is great. So you can refill your sower and fertilizer spreaders in the field. It does charge you for that, like you would at any other sort of sale point that you have on the map. I've been getting into making all of our own seeds, fertilizer, biodiesel and all the rest of it. Again, we'll talk a little bit about all of that later on. Some other little bits and pieces. This little app, the Brux UN, that is a awesome little tool. if you're not into forestry, like I'm not, or not particularly, and you need to remove trees, this thing does a perfect job for doing that. It doesn't remove the stumps, it just removes basically the trunk and the arm branches, but it kind of magically stalls all of the chips within it to later be used, whether you want to sell them for at a sell point, or whether you want to use them to make compost or whatever. You can. It's not particularly realistic, but it's certainly well worth having if we want to clear large amounts of trees very quickly. Then that is a brilliant little tool to add to the collection. I've got some semi-tipper trailers, some bale trailers, the Amazon Condor multi-seeder. Now this is one of my favourites. This is a really big seeder, allows you to cover a lot of ground very quickly. Has a good top speed, working speed, I think between 20 and 25 kmh, so you can cover large amounts of ground very quickly. It also has capacity for fertiliser as well as seed, so that's another brilliant addition to that. A couple of the other bits and pieces that we have. We've got the Follow Me, allows you to other vehicles to follow a lead vehicle, which is great if you're doing multiple jobs in a field and you want to get all of the equipment there without having to drive each one individually. That allows you to be able to do that. Very handy. We have the vehicle group switcher. That is awesome. That enables you to group all of your vehicles at a touch of the button. Got a couple of other grain trailers here. I was never a fan of this one here. I can hardly pronounce it. The Dopeka grain trailer. Great if you're doing road trains. I'm not a huge fan of large trucking and bits and pieces within the game, but it does enable you to transport large amounts of grain or whatever you want to transport in sort of a road train fashion. It comes in 2 or 3 different pieces with the carries within the middle. Then you've got a dolly essentially that attached to one of the Lizard, or if you have a modded truck that you can pull them with that as well. Couple of other things. Got the Ford 40 series. I'm a huge fan of Ford tractors. Got the Ford pack as well. Ground modification, that's great. That allows you to recreate different types of ground or remove grass or do whatever. That's a lot of fun. You can create little sort of gravel pathways into fields and that sort of thing to add sort of some realism into it. So yes, why is that not coming up through? Oh, because I'm paused on that. Okay, so let us see what else we have. We have a Titan from Horsch, which is an auger wagon, fairly self-explanatory. We have a Power Harrow series from Lemken. I was having a bit of issue with this. It was bucking out the game a little bit. I'm going to have check on the old farming sim logs to see what's going on there. It might be a texture issue or something, but it was dropping my frame rate a little. So I've still got it loaded up within the game, but I shall have a closer look to see where the errors are lying within that. Got a couple of feeder wagons. I'm not loading that on. We have a new system in the way of mixing feed on the Cherry Hills map. We have the Kruger basically type trailer that allows us to transport grains and seeds and all other bits and pieces and fertilizer, solid fertilizer, directly to our seed drills, which is really handy. Have the Krone Ultima baler pack, which is awesome. I haven't had a play with it yet. I am looking forward to doing that when I come round to do my next round of harvesting. We'll fire that up and see. I've been told it's been really good. I've had a look at some YouTube links, and everybody says it's really good. I haven't got a Kuhn baler. I've already got the New Holland big square baler. Not a huge fan of round bales, but it was a fun little mod certainly for some of the smaller fields that I was working in the Goldcrest Valley map. It was sort of very handy to do the smaller fields. Haven't really played Lawfords in Aberdeenshire. I've got a updated version of the Massey University Oh, Massey University, I keep on saying that's a job on the mind. Massey Ferguson old generation pack. That's a slightly newer mod of the other one. We'll have to remove the previous one and stick with this one. Haven't played Mustang Valley yet, which is another map. I've got the New Holland LM742, which is a teleloader, and I've also got the New Holland mod, which is the wheeled loader. A couple of other trailers. Got some. When I was on the Gold Coast, when I started getting a lot of dairy cows, this Pecan Mega was absolutely brilliant. It allowed me to mix vast amount of total mixed ration for the cattle, which was really, really important. The cows start to eat a lot of food once you sort of start getting over 300 or 400 dairy cows, which was a great addition to be able to feed the total mix ration to a lot of cows very, very quickly, especially when you're loading it with either the JCB wheeled loader or the New Holland. You can load it pretty quickly. I think it held around 64,000 litres of food stuff, which is brilliant. Okay, a few other little bits and pieces. Got the Scorpion King mod pack. We've also got the Rec Jumbo silage compactor, which I don't really need in the Cherry Hills because we have a new way of making silage in there, which is very, very, very handy. Some silo extensions. Got a stump cutter there from for the JCB little skid steer loaders, and we've got the Cott Giant Garant water tanker, which is brilliant, especially for when you're watering things like lettuces and tomatoes and all the other greenhouse vegetables and fruits that you can grow now. And then one of my hardest working trailers, which is the Cramp SB3060, which allows you to hold 100,000 litres of grain or materials, which is great because you can shunt around and shift around to sell points in large amounts. So there's a little bit of what I'm using within the game. We'll kick off and start. It will take a few moments for it to jump in, and we will see what we can do. Okay. Okay, so the game is still being loaded. We will just wait a little bit, and here we go. Alright, so we are now on our main yard. We did do a previous run of this, but I had a serious problem with the audio. Cherry Hills is a rather large map. I think in the note it said there was around, I don't know, was it 3,000 acres? Somewhere around there. Could be more. I haven't managed to buy all of the fields yet. Fields on this map are quite expensive, so I've just been starting off with doing what I can. I've got about just under 16 million euros in the pot there at the moment, doing what we can. We've got about 200 dairy cows. They're all working away, producing me income. We have some greenhouse cabbages and lettuces and all kinds of other little bits and pieces over in one of the other yards, all growing away. And then of course we've got all of the crops. Now, just having a look at the first part of the yard, you'll notice that we have some giant silos. Now, what I've noticed in some of the more moddable maps, they have been installing or putting in these wonderful digital readouts of what's stored where, or how much you have stored. And as you can see, we have quite a lot of barley. We've got about 1.5 million litres of barley ready to be sold when the price rises. Canola is a little bit low. I have some another big field. I think one of my biggest fields is growing a full crop of canola coming up. Oh, excuse me. Our compost, I don't generally tend to store much compost because I usually take it directly to the biogas plant, which enables me to make all kinds of things, everything from liquid fertilizer, solid fertilizer, biodiesel. which is great because then I don't have to actually pay for that when I'm attending to the fields. Maize, I'm just growing my first crop of maize at the moment. We've still got quite a few oats waiting to be sold. We've got some straw which I'm storing here rather than keeping bales. I can go out and collect the straw using one of my forage wagons and just directly store it in here, which saves the time and effort of actually stacking bales and everything else. I've still got a few bales stacked around, but this is just a good way because I can use the straw in all of the other bits of machinery on the yard, like making TMI or total mixed ration for the cows or the dairy. We have some wheat in there, just waiting on the price going up before we sell any more of that. Got quite a few wood chips. Wood chips I generally tend to use directly in the Compost Master, which we'll show you in a minute. We've got a lot of soybeans waiting to be sold. We've got some sorghum, a little bit of that. That usually fetches quite a good price. We might do a couple of runs in a later episode of that. We have some millet and some spelt. So it's great that we can store all these quite centrally to some of our larger fields. Now, what was new on this map, which was great to find out about, and I've been playing this map for quite some time now, since a couple of weeks since it was released, we can now store grass in the silo towers, and what this will do, rather than storing grass in the silage pit, we can store them in these what's the best word, silos, and it will ferment the grass and give us silage directly, which is really good. Keeps everything nice, neat and tidy. The first time I've sort of seen it done like this, but it kind of suits me. Over here we have our pig feed machine. This requires potatoes, sunflowers and maize. I've got some maize growing. I've also got some sunflowers growing in one of my smaller fields, but I haven't grown any potatoes yet. As soon as the maize is done, I will plant a small field of potatoes so I can get my food for my pigs organised, and then once we've got all the food organised, then I'll start buying some pigs, and then we'll increase the income through the selling of the pigs. Right. Over here we now have a wonderful machine that creates our total mix ration for our dairy cows. Of course, we've got the straw, silage and grass here. I think these are all just about full, and I think my tank's just about full. I think I've got about 150,000 litres there ready to go. I believe my cows are okay for food at the moment, but I like to have things stocked up and ready to go, especially when they're needed. Okay, right. Over here we got our sell point for our basically waste product from the liquid manure from the dairy, and that we can sell there. Over here we have our yard full of machinery. I seem to be obsessed with trailers at the moment. Got a variety of trailers there. We have a couple of big auger wagons, which is great for when we're doing the larger fields. A couple of other Joskin trailers there, the big ones there, the 47,000 litre trailers. Love those trailers. Another baby auger wagon. Got my forage wagon there for collecting grass and straw. We've also got another Joskin there, and we've got a baby little trailer there, which is always handy for doing small bits and pieces. Here's three of my big tractors here. I'm a huge brand fan. I love having all of my machinery under the one brand name. This is my biggest tractor. This is the T9 565. This old girl does all of the heavy cultivating and runs the big seeder. Seeing as all of my fields have now been planted, she's not needed at the moment. These two guys are the T8 435s. These are 435 horsepower and great all-round tractor. They're not as Probably not as nice looking as the Massey Ferguson. Don't get me wrong, I do love the Massey Ferguson tractors, but the New Holland series just seems to give us a slightly larger range, with the top end tractor being this beast over here, and the low end tractor being sort of the T5 and the T6s. Just gives me a huge range of machinery to do all the jobs that I need, from everything from doing a little bit of mowing right through to the large cultivations on the larger fields. This is our Compass Master. For those of you who've played Farming Simulator before, you will know exactly what this does. This basically converts organic material into compost, and then once it does its thing, you can then take the compost to the biogas plant, and you can start using this. Either you can sell it directly, or you can use it, as I do, to make liquid fertilizer, biodiesel and solid fertilizer, which is great because you can save yourself a lot of money by making it yourself. Now, the one thing that this machine does do, and it drinks a lot of diesel, it uses a vast amount of diesel. So once you've got the cycle going of actually getting the compost into biofuel, it actually becomes quite productive to be able to do it, because you can make the diesel free, you can run the machine for free, and then you'll get your free compost, which is absolutely brilliant. Took a few what's the word? It took a few hours to get everything that I needed to get that cycle running, but once it's done, you don't have to worry about paying for seed, fertilizer or diesel, which is absolutely wonderful. Alright, we'll just move around there. That's one of my big fields. It's ready for harvesting. We'll get on to that. My harvesters are out on another job at the moment. They're finishing off harvesting my largest field. This is the little Branther trailer. If I can get my words out, I need more coffee, which I shall go and get in a little while. This is basically a cell point trailer, which has your liquid fertilizer, seed and solid fertilizer to refill your seeders in the middle of the field. I'm not sure why I've still got it. I just kind of think it's just always handy to have a backup for these sorts of things. Again, it does charge you when using this for your seeds and fertilizer, so it's not free for actually purchasing that, but it can get you out of trouble. Over here, a wonderful little machine. This makes my seed. This uses liquid fertilizer, which is full at the moment, and you can just drop in your common grains in here, and it'll make 60,000 litres of usable plantable seeds. I've got 63,000 litres in there, which is absolutely brilliant. So we don't have to pay for seed at all. I've got some seed already stored in one of the silos that we'll have a look in just a moment. I like to keep things stocked up. I've got my fertilizer spreader on here. Then I've got my other seed trailer here that has an extension on the back that allows me to transfer seed directly into my seed drills. It's a little tricky at times. You've got to find the little zone that allows you to do that, but once you figure that out, it's absolutely brilliant. You can do fertilizer or seeds, top up your seeders or fertilizer spreaders using this method, which is absolutely brilliant. That's my Bredor. I love that fertilizer spreader. That's an awesome spreader. Alright, so just round the corner, these are my storage tanks for my diesel. I'm running a little low on diesel at the moment. I'm down to about 60,000 litres. I want to get that topped up. I've got plenty in the biogas plant ready to be picked up, so we'll do that probably on another episode. And we have a seed storage tank here for filling up the seeders directly. I've got about 36,000 litres in there. I'm definitely going to need more of that. With 63,000 litres in the seed maker, that will be topped up into there, so it'll just be around about 100,000 litres. So we will need some more on that, which we will go over again on another episode. Coming through down to here again, this is my solid fertilizer. Got 100,000 litres in there. That won't last very long. So we'll get some more made of that. Again, the biogas plant is working away on actually creating more of the products that I'm going to be needing. And of course we have our liquid fertilizer storage tank here. So I've got plenty of liquid fertilizer. I've been working quite hard on that. 221,000 litres should keep you going for a little while. Again, I'll keep all of these topped up so I don't have to worry about them too much. These are the coat pack that I downloaded. This is absolutely brilliant. We get a man truck with a tanker on the back. This thing can hold 22,500 litres, and all this little chappy does, it goes backwards and forwards from the main farm to here, transferring liquids and diesel and all kinds of other bits and pieces, so I can keep everything topped up. I'll just jump inside here for a moment. This is wonderful inside the cab here. You can actually got a really nicely designed truck here, and as you can see in front of me, you've actually got a gauge where you can actually see how much is loaded in the back of the truck, which is absolutely awesome. So we'll just jump out of there and we'll just move around. Oh, get out. There we go. There we go. And we'll just move out from here. We'll just have a quick look around the other barns. We've got a few other bits and pieces to show you guys. We'll just start running and save on time a little bit. Again, we've got another coat tanker there. I think that holds 30,000 litres. I usually tow this with the man truck over there, but oh, excuse me, it's a little underpowered. Once you've got fully loaded this and the other one fully loaded, it does struggle a little bit. The other option would be to get maybe a JCB Fast Track, which is one of the faster tractors with a slightly higher horsepower, and that maybe be able to pull that a little bit better. However, the little truck kind of does the job for what I'm wanting to at the moment. We have a couple of disking machines here, which are generally go over any of the crops that need to be going over, especially after ploughing or just straight after the harvest. They're great for that. And then in my next barn we have all of our seeders. Now this was the Amazon. This is one of the mods. This is absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love this machine. One reason, because one, it can be pulled by the T9 or T8. It's got incredibly large, I think it's 18 meters wide, and it has high storage capacity. And it can be run at about 20 kilometers an hour, which is absolutely brilliant. So not only does it have a large spread to cover much ground, it's got high capacity, so you're not having to refill it all the time. Now then, we've got a couple of little Lemkins here. Oh, I'll say little. I think these are, I can't remember how wide these are, maybe 12 meters, somewhere around there. These don't have any cultivator functions on them. These have to be used straight after you've done the cultivation process, but they're great because they take 5,800 litres each. So they're fairly high capacity, and they're fairly wide, and if you run two of them in the one field, you can cover a lot of ground very quickly. And of course we have our good old horse there. That's, these guys take fertilizer and seed, and these guys can cultivate at a reasonably high speed. I think around about 19-20 kilometers an hour. So they work really well. So I can send out a fleet of machinery into several fields and get the sowing done reasonably quickly, and it's especially helpful on the larger farms. I have a sell point here for wood chips. We can sell all of our wood chips directly into this heat master, whatever it's called. The Hyzermat provides heating, I guess. So that's basically the main yard. Oh yes, I've got a little pressure washer there. All of my machinery is in dire need of a good clean. We shall get round to that once we finish harvesting. Okay, so that's the first part, first stream. Hopefully that all went very well. So that gives you a bit of an idea of what we're running. I do have another T8. I think I got 3 T8s, a T6 and a T9 and a TW35 at the moment, and I'm also running a JCB skid steer and a JCB wheeled loader, the 416 I think it is, over in the dairy, and that looks after the dairy for the other bits and pieces. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and hopefully you enjoyed that, and we'll kick off with another session very soon. Okay folks, take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye.